I'm here today to talk about the first legal cornerstone on sustainable urban mobility in Brazilian state and what it would mean for its people and their life quality. This legal cornerstone is a proposed law which is currently analyzed by the Legislative Assembly of the state Rio Grande do Sul in southern Brazil. The legal process was started in April 2013 by a Special State Commission on Urban Mobility, which was developed by a group of states representatives. 3 months later, in July 2013, the Brazilian people demanded that the public transport fares would be reduced. They used the slogan, "If fares don't go down, our society is going to stop." This meant that the discussion on sustainable transport was not only on our city's streets, but also of Brazil's national agenda. The Special State Commission on Urban Mobility held another 10 public meetings involving from stakeholders to citizens. The more we got people involved, the more we saw the need to carry on and help. People understand the subject, its significance, and how it would change their lives. However, there were some weak points, most notably the technicians, the public authority, and the society. The lack of expertise of professionals and technicians in the area, as our university do not teach principles, guidelines, or the importance of sustainable transport and urban mobility. Our knowledge is restricted to our road hierarchy and building infrastructure. So, how are we to demand responsibility from those who have no information? The qualification of the technicians who work in the public agencies. We noted that they still place priority on optimizing motor vehicle flow. Our technicians believe that problem must be solved by dealing with their consequence and not by their cause. In this regard, I'd like to use the example of 1894 London, with its 1.3 million horses transporting people and causes serious environment and health problems. 4 tons of horses manure left behind on the street every day, attracting huge numbers of flies, which then spread typhoid, fever, and other diseases. How did they solve the problem? By dealing with its consequence, by having the horses wear diapers, not by banning the horses from the streets. A modern example of this cause versus consequence relationships is that 70% of all the projects on urban mobility subsidized in Brazil place a priority on paving the street for motor traveling. Technicians' communication should be made easier, lighter, and more popular. This subject needs to be discussed nationwide and taught to school children. To illustrate what I'm saying, I bring the example of waste recycling and the use of seatbelts. We only started seeing positive results when these topics were taught at school to young kids. We have not yet implemented the subject of transport and mobility as an urban planning strategy in the city master plans. We have planned private spaces, block and private lands, through zoning schemes and urban rates, not linking them public spaces like streets, sidewalks, and squares. This is no common consciousness in our subject. Urban mobility and sustainable transport is left aside in Brazil. Priority is given to healthcare, education, and security. We know that investing in our subject means improving health, education, and the environment. Sustainable urban transport is a local agenda, but the resources are national. We know that the solution to urban mobility starts with a gallon of paint and specific intervention with a few resources. But we also need to be aware that advances in the area of sustainable transport will only be possible with effective participation of our federal government, which keeps 57% of the income taxes that we pay, while the states keep 25% and the cities merely 18%. The cities which need the most improvement in this area are the ones in the metropolitan areas and which needs regional planning. Another challenge we face is give a part of the city's management in favor of the metropolitan region. In order to encourage so, Brazil has passed a law in 2015 named the Metropolis Statute Law, aiming at the creation guidelines and establishing responsibilities to cities within metropolitan regions. The fair discount or exemption criteria of public transport user in Brazil are a legal measure to benefit and based on different groups of people and activity. The elderly, the disabled, and the students are granted a discount or exemption regardless of financial condition. Due to this policy, there is an impact of about 30% on the fare. People do not realize that our subject could improve their everyday life. Our society does not link transport and mobility to the environment and quality of life. In general, the prevailing culture in the motor one. Moving forward on that is also a matter of culture. Public transportation is closely related to salaries and income. If your income is higher, you'll be driving a car. If it's lower, we'll be taking public transportation. Society builds their change through legal cultural processes on three levels: awareness, restriction, and prohibition. These levels are present in many laws. That is, if our laws do not make us aware, we change them to become restrictive. And if a restriction does not solve the problem, we start to prohibit. Legislation on sustainable urban mobility works the same way. Another outcomes of the work in my state are shown in the national survey carried out by Ministry of Cities. In City Hall nationwide about the development creation of urban mobility municipal plans between late 2014 and early 2015. The results are as follows. If we compare my state to Brazil, we notice that the state has surpassed the country, especially in the cities which said they already have their plans. Almost 14% in my state, again 6% in Brazil. This also happens in the state which said their plans are being designed and developed, 28% against 26%. These figures are a sign that the work being done by the Rio Grande do Sul State Assembly and the continuous meetings and debates have yielded to practical effects. Another important point is the way young Brazilians think, mainly the ones of Generation Z. We have noticed that their dreams is no longer to buy a car, but a cell phone, which shows that the car does not come first anymore. Rio Grande do Sul writer Mário Quintana, when asked about his age, he replied, I have the age of the one with whom I speak. A sign that build great empathy with those he spoke with the media to which he related. This quote applies to us. We need to build empathy with our citizens, humanize our relations. In practice, we need to put ourselves in each other's shoes, dress as such, speak as such, and live as such. Sometimes we dehumanize in the relationships, starting with the way we dress and the way we communicate. It's not lack of love for the subject and the cause, but the simplicity and sincerity we approach. We cannot forget that the city is the result of an experiment invited by the human, and this experiment is turning against its own creator. I believe that urban mobility is the most modern policy to educate citizens. It's by its means that we can exercise democracy of public spaces and respect to collective living. Thank you.